going on, everybody? 2023 is now in the books. Wanted to come on here real quick and do a year-end recap. Kind of like a New Year's resolution for 24 is that we're trying to grow our YouTube, grow our Twitter. We have decent followings on the other channels, so we want to get bigger over here. So I wanted to come on and do this. We're going to recap essentially all of the stats, all of the betting stats that we had for 2023. We'll go over a couple of the sports that were highlights for us, talk about the difference between 1, 2, 3 unit plays, and then just some takeaways. So this won't be a very long video, but I think it'll be helpful for some of you that follow us already on other channels, that tail the free plays, that use the systems that we give out, whatever the case may be. So why don't we just start with where we finished? So I want to just stress, though, record and win percentage is really not what matters. 1,034 wins, 1,052 losses. That's right around 50%. So when you look at that, you're like, well, this is no better than a coin flip. What matters is the odds you're getting and how you're distributing those units, right? So if everything at minus 110 is 50%, then yes, you are a losing sports bettor. You're in the negative. But we finished plus 83.93 units, just under 84 units in the green. And part of that is understanding when to go bigger than 1 unit, right? 2 or 3, and understanding when you have value on underdogs, always sprinkling those money lines in case you get the outright win, and some long shots that we hit, over the course of the year. So a couple of the highlights: the NBA last season, the 2022 to 2023 season, the playoff run that we had was big. Was a big part of all this. We picked up over 40 units in the NBA last season. So far this season, we're plus 14 units. So basketball continues to be a moneymaker for us. But that was one of the highlights. MLB plus 27.3 units in baseball. And remember, that's a sport in baseball where it's all essentially line value. We're just sniping mispriced lines every day and sprinkling them. And there you go, nearly 30 units to the green just by doing that. So those kind of were the two highlights. And then let's talk about the difference between 1, 2, and 3. This is a question I get all the time. I've been getting this a lot recently too, which is why I wanted to address it. I threw it on the agenda for this video. 1 unit plays cash for us in 23 at a rate of 46%. So that's plus 19.6 units that we picked up on 1 unit plays. Why 46%? Well, 1 unit plays are kind of like the base. Those are going to be your money line sprinkles, right? If you've got a unit on the spread, throw another unit on the money line. Those are going to be your occasional parlays. Those are going to be your teasers. Your long shot futures will be 1 unit. So that's why these are don't even hit at 50%, but they're almost always plus money. So if you do hit them at a decent rate, you can still make some units. You made almost 20 units on 1 unit plays alone. The 2 unit play, that's by far our most common play. That's where you're going to almost always find us, because we want to have a distinction between what's a sprinkle and what's not a sprinkle. A 2 unit play is not a sprinkle. It's a firm play. Those 2% plays hit at a 54% clip, which is just around what you expect if you're a pro. You want to be hitting at minus 110, these 54 and higher. 514 and 434 was the record, but again, records, whatever. 54% for plus 57.2 units. That is where we make our money. These are the plays that are going to carry us year after year. The 2 unit plays, they are the bulk of the profits that we are going to make. So understand, if you like a play, you have an edge, maybe you like the situational spot, maybe there's just line value, that is your normal standard play. That should be a 2 unit play. For someone else, it could be 1 unit and a half unit sprinkle. For us, it's 2 units and the 1 unit is the sprinkle. So just understand that that's those 2 unit plays. That's our workhorse if you're new to this. So, and then we have the 3 unit max, which we can include the stats up here, but really it's not fair. I included it. I implemented it later into the year because we used to have a system where we were doing a 5 unit max. We'd use the 1 to 5 unit scale, and I was dropping a 5 unit max like once a month. So it was even more rare than the 3 units are. But I kind of found, like, why even put that pressure on yourself, right? Why say every month I'm going to have to find a 5 unit max play? If it's there, it's there. And then people start asking, we haven't had a max in 2-3 months. Like, the 3 unit max will be more common because you'll find more spots where you can unload 3 units. And generally speaking, these 5 unit plays can be profitable, and they were for us, but there's also some high risk there. Maybe you lose 2, 3 in a row. Boom, that's 15 units gone. So you got to also really be careful with these. And I think the 1 to 3 is kind of where we've settled in. I think it's a much nicer balance. So the 3 unit max plays were 25 and 16. That's 60% against the spread. These are all -1 or -120 or less, I'll say, for plus 27 units. So these are spots that we want to hammer if we find a bigger edge, but they're not as common, so they're not our workhorse. The 2 unit is the workhorse. All right. Now, so those are the total stats, 84 units to the good for the entire year. I'm very happy with that. It's our 4th straight winning year. We're going to go for another one this year. And a couple of takeaways I wanted to give you guys. I have 3 main takeaways here. We just touched on the max plays, right? Bigger max plays, 10 units, 15, 20 units. I see them all the time. I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, I'm on TikTok. I see them all the time. These are marketing tools. These are marketing tactics. No pro bettor or no professional in any want to draw the comparisons to the stock market. Very few guys are going to say, I'm comfortable putting 10, 15, 20% of my portfolio on this one thing. And I'm going to find out if I was right or not in a matter of 2 hours. It just doesn't work that way. Pros don't do this. So when you see that, in my humble opinion, red flag, 10, 15, 20 unit plays, red flags. Big takeaway from that this year. I saw that more than I've ever seen it before. I used to think it was common. It's unbelievably common. And I'm not talking about like influencer accounts, which are like whatever. They're not pros. They're there to make content and entertain you. That's completely different. I'm talking about legitimate handicapping accounts giving out 20 unit max plays. Be very careful of these. There's no reason for you to have to sweat out that amount of risk on a game. It makes no sense. We picked up 84 units by just playing 1 to 3 unit plays. Second thing, situational spots in gambling, in my opinion, are as strong as they've ever been. All right. I can't remember a year where I feel like we had so many wins that were just based on the spot. And I have a theory on why this correlates to line value, which it's for a longer video, but situational spots, I believe, are stronger now than they've ever been. So remember, NBA, I just talked about how we picked up 40 units last season. We're up 14 units right now in the NBA for this season, and we've played 0 systems. If you're a sub already, you know this. In the write-ups, I never include any NBA systems, right? Why? There's very few, essentially none, maybe 1 or 2 mid-season NBA systems that are reliable and profitable. There's a bunch in the playoffs, which we will take advantage of, and I love betting the NBA playoffs. But in the season, there's not much. We're up 14 units, essentially just betting the spot. Just situate. Are they on a back-to-back, three games in 4 nights? Did they just play, right? NBA has these games, these 2-game sets where you play the same team twice. Did they just did this team just lose to the same team a couple of days ago? Maybe it's a play. And then, of course, couple that with line value. But spot betting in the NBA and the NFL, the point spread sports, is stronger than it's ever been. All right. And that leads me to my third point, which is a little bit correlated to this, is that the average public bettor, public handles mean less now than they've ever meant before. All right. And I learned this big time in 2023 because I'm one of those people that looks at that stuff. I look at betting percentages. I look at handles. I include those in my handicap, but I've started to notice that they really are not nearly as important as we think they are. And I think that is a part of, or is due to the fact that the average public bettor is not the same dumb public bettor that we've known them to be for so long. The average Joe in 1985 is not the same average Joe that we have today. Obviously, that should be common sense, right? People today have access to more tools than they've ever had before. They can download a betting app and find out like what's the sharp side, why is the line moving. They can read reports from analysts, just anything. And if they don't even do any of that, if they just are gambling on their phone, all they'd have to do is open up social media, and you've got tons of handicappers that, if you follow good ones, are sharp sources for you, right? So you got tons of access to information, and so much more than ever before that I think the public bettor is right now at the bottom of my low. When I weight my factors in handicapping, what's most important, the public betting percentages are at the bottom right now. They've never been before. They're usually either in the middle or they're pretty high up. They're at the rock bottom right now. So those are my 3 takeaways. Watch out for those big plays in 2024. Avoid the guys that are giving you 10, 20 unit max plays. We're going to look to keep playing spots, situational angles in 24. And we're just going to ignore the public bettors. All right. This is like something that the media pages want to push out, but mathematically, it hasn't made any sense. I can't tell you to fade the public in the NFL. The public sides are hitting at like 60% this season. So, or for the season that just ended. So just be careful with that. So those are my takeaways. That's how we did 84 units to the green. More YouTube content coming, podcast coming later this week. This is the new setup, by the way, for the podcast. Bruce will join me and we'll keep it going. Thanks guys for watching. Peace out.